George Burt Wilson was my great-grandfather that I didn't get the opportunity to meet. So it was interesting to interview my grandma, which is his daughter, to learn more about my family. I soon discovered reflecting back on a person's life can bring happiness, laughter, and tears. George Wilson was born on the 22nd of April 1911 in Young, New South Wales. He was raised by George and Mary, and he was one of 12 children in his family. Growing up as a child, there was no school that was close, so he had to stay with another family just to attend school. He had to earn his board by doing chores before and after school. Just getting to school required him to ride a horse for miles. It is not known what age he actually started school, but he only had 3 or 4 years of schooling. In his late teens, George moved to Yalgolga North, a very small isolated community where he worked on a farm. Around this time, World War II started. On the 23rd of July 1940, he enlisted into the Australian Army because he strongly believed in a better life for his country. George joined the 9th Division of the 2nd 13th Battalion, more commonly known as the Rats of Tobruk. In 1941, he disembarked to the Middle East. His battalion was sent on special missions, so they got to see many different countries of the world. However, he also seen a lot of his mates being killed around him. During the war, George had his own share of problems. He had to have his appendix taken out in a tent in New Guinea, and later he was shot in the arm with a bullet going straight through. He recovered and continued to serve his country until the end of World War II. His superiors gave him permission to stay back because his brother was missing in action. Unfortunately, George discovered he had been killed only a week before the war ended. On the 7th of November 1945, George was discharged from the army and went back to work on a farm in Yagrin. When George left, there was this young girl who used to run around the farm. When he returned, this young girl was now a young lady. He fell in love with her and married Elsie on the 26th of October 1949. They moved to Wyalong, where George was a drover on a farm. They had 2 daughters, one in 1950 and one surprise in 1961. In August 1979, the love of his life died. He struggled with her passing and never found anyone else. His life became about his daughters. They grew up, got married, and gave him 6 grandchildren, who he spoiled rotten. According to Grandma, they were allowed to do things she was never allowed to do as a child. In 1991, he had a car accident where he hit a semi-trailer and should never have survived. The tough old bugger never even broke a bone, but spent 6 weeks in a hospital. His last years were spent in a retirement home, which he claimed the people living there needed him. Then on the 22nd of December 1998, at the age of 87, George Wilson died.